All right, what's up, everybody? Today I'm here to bring you my NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 / Back to Brooklyn review. Overall, guys, I thought this was another very good TakeOver special delivered by NXT. Of course, that was the question: could this NXT TakeOver Brooklyn top last year's NXT TakeOver Brooklyn? I'll let you guys know what I thought about that towards the end of this review. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, or Back to Brooklyn as I call it. Not a single bad match on the card. Every match on the card was either good, fun, or great. Just an enjoyable 2.5 hours of NXT. Just that's why I love NXT so much, man. You know, 2.5 hours, their NXT TakeOver specials. And Brooklyn 2, crowd was awesome. And the show from start to finish was just a lot of fun. It was just another really good show, like I said, from NXT. Let's get right down to my review. We kicked the show off with No Way Jose versus Austin Aries. This was a good, solid opener. Before the match started, No Way Jose had a conga line, very similar to Adam Rose, but I'll be honest with you guys, I like No Way Jose more than Adam Rose. So yeah, the conga line was cool. The crowd was singing No Way Jose's theme song as he made his entrance. But once the match started, it was a pro Austin Aries crowd. Austin Aries got No Way Jose in the last chance. He locked the last chancery. Excuse me. He got No Way Jose in the last chancery early on in the match, but Jose escaped. Jose hit a nice looking TKO. Once Aries rebounded, he knocked Jose to the outside and hit a suicide dive. Aries then hit a nice reverse neck breaker with Jose in between the middle ropes. Jose then hit like a modified Falcon Arrow. So instead of, like, I don't want to say he did it like the hat rack crack that K-Quick used to do. I'm trying to remember if he spun Aries around, but it was a nice looking move. Austin Aries then hit a sunset flip powerbomb into the last chancery to make No Way Jose tap out. No Way Jose put up a good effort in what was undoubtedly his most high-profile match so far in his NXT career. But in the end, Austin Aries was just too much for him. Like I said, he hit a sunset flip powerbomb, and then he transitioned into the last chancery, looked really sick, and made Jose tap out for the win. After the match, Austin Aries continued his assault on No Way Jose and was interrupted by Hideo Itami, who did not have a match on this card. But Hideo Itami came out to make the save. Hideo Itami then went at it with Austin Aries. He took Austin Aries down with a series of strikes and a nice roundhouse kick to the head. And then came the moment where the entire Brooklyn crowd inside of the Barclays Center it had them all marking out. Hideo Itami hoists up Austin Aries on his shoulders and delivers the GTS. This has been, I want to say, almost 2 years in the making, because Hideo Itami, of course, he was the inventor of the GTS, and early on during his run with NXT, he would tease using the performing the GTS, but you'd never get a chance to do it. If you were there live in San Jose during the WrestleMania 31 weekend when NXT had that house show, he actually did perform the GTS on Tyler Breeze. But for the first time on a televised NXT special, be it NXT TakeOver or just, you know, an NXT TV taping, Hideo Itami finally hit the GTS. It was awesome. That crowd popped. So it looks like we're going to get Hideo Itami versus Austin Aries at the next NXT TakeOver special. That was the match I actually said I would have liked to have seen here at TakeOver Brooklyn. It was one of the matches I predicted in my fantasy card predictions video with Daniel Gaiza, but I have no problem with that match coming up at NXT TakeOver. I don't know what the next one's called in October and November, but it should be a really good match between Hideo Itami and Austin Aries. And overall, it was a good, solid opener between Aries and No Way Jose, 2.25 stars. Next, we had the debut of Ember Moon, the mysterious Ember Moon, formerly known as the Goddess Athena on the independent circuit. She took on Billie Kay. This is like I predicted. It was either going to be Billie Kay or Daria from NXT. She's the girl with the mixed martial arts gimmick. Excuse me. This was a good, fun debut for Ember Moon. Billie Kay got in some offense early on. She hit the Eat Defeat, which is that move Gail Kim used to use in WWE, and I don't know if she still uses it in TNA, but it's where you have your foot on the opponent's face and you pull down so the opponent defeat. You know what I'm saying? Billie Kay also got Ember Moon in a Canadian backbreaker, and then dropped her face first, sort of like a Dominator. Ember Moon mounted a comeback, and she hit a nice cartwheel clothesline into the corner, and then Ember Moon got the 3 count by hitting the one move that the Lex Man really, really wanted WWE to let her keep in her arsenal, and that is this twisting stunner, which was freaking awesome. Like, I knew about it, and I was wondering, would NXT let that move, and she did. It was awesome. I don't know what she calls it, but Ember Moon got the win with that flipping, twisting stunner, and it was just a fun debut. And I feel like with the debuts lately on the NXT TakeOver specials, this has been a lot of fun to watch. You know, Apollo Crews at TakeOver Brooklyn last year, Asuka at NXT TakeOver Respect, Nakamura, of course, at NXT TakeOver Dallas, Andrade, Cien, Almas at NXT TakeOver the End, and then Ember Moon Saturday night at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn too. Excuse me. I'm sort of losing my train of thought. I'm trying to regain my voice. Take a swig of water real quick. There you go. So yeah, guys, I've just really been enjoying these debuts at the NXT TakeOver specials. You know, I don't watch much independent wrestling, but I know about these people from just their background and whatnot. So Ember Moon, really happy to see her in NXT. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of hers. I just found out about her recently because I know she used to wrestle as the Goddess Athena on the independent circuit. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what she brings to the in the NXT Women's Division. Eventually, you got to believe she's going to clash with the likes of Asuka and maybe Bayley, depending on when Bayley gets called up to the main roster. But good fun debut for Ember Moon. Love that flipping stunner. That move was just awesome. And I love how she had these contacts they gave her, these blood moon eyes. Those were just so awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Ember Moon in NXT. From there, we go on to the second debut of the night. As I call it, the debut. Bobby Roode taking on the aforementioned Andrade, Cien, Almas. Bobby Roode was over like $1 million Saturday night at TakeOver Brooklyn. He had this glorious entrance where he was lowered from the, not from the sky, but he was lowered from this really cool apparatus, this really cool stand. The crowd in Barclays Center was singing Roode's, I almost said Grood, Roode's theme song. I mean, this was just awesome. The match hadn't even freaking started, and Bobby Roode was already freaking over with the crowd. And then Andrade and Almas came out, and the Brooklyn crowd immediately turned him heel. They booed him when he came out. Like I said, guys, Andrade is a good performer. But he hasn't really had a stand-up performance that makes me say, oh man, this guy's awesome. Like, nothing that's really gotten behind me other than when he debuted against Ty Dillinger at NXT TakeOver the End back in June. But this was a good match. Early on, Andrade hit a springboard Hurricane Rana. Roode rebounded with a nice stalling vertical suplex reminiscent of the British Bulldog. Almost hit a nice springboard dropkick, which knocked Bobby Roode off the top rope, and then he hit a nice springboard corkscrew to the outside. I will give Andrade Cien Almas this. He put up a good, strong performance in this match with Bobby Roode. I give him a ton of credit for the performance. This is the kind of performances I've wanted to see from Andrade Cien Almas. Those performances that just really capture my eye and make me think, like, wow, this guy's really good. I could see this guy doing big things on NXT. So he gave a good performance for the most part, a good, strong performance against Bobby Roode. Almas hit the wheelbarrow bulldog back inside the ring. Bobby Roode went for a German suplex, but Andrade managed to land on his feet and connected with a nice-looking straight jacket suplex. I called it a straight jacket German suplex because that's basically what it looked like, with just Bobby Roode's arms crossed against his chest. Andrade attempted the springboard moonsault where he does the moonsault, lands on his feet, then does another moonsault like how he did against Ty Dillinger from the top rope. But Bobby Roode got his knees up. Bobby Roode then went for a fisherman suplex, but Andrade countered with a small package. Andrade then hit his running knees in the corner and went for the wrist lock DDT, but Bobby Roode countered with an Arn Anderson spinebuster. And then Bobby Roode hit the glorious bomb, which is a simple pump handle suplex for the glorious 3 count and the glorious win. Bobby Roode successful in his NXT debut, his glorious NXT debut. And guys, honestly, I think you can make a drinking game out of this, you know, out of the word glorious. I mean, anytime you're listening to Bobby Roode's entrance theme and you hear the word glorious, you take a shot, or or however many times I say glorious in take a shot. I just hope I don't get you guys drunk. But I honestly really think with how over he was on Saturday night and however he is with the theme song and everything. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the crowd was chanting before the start of the match, "This is glorious. This is glorious." So that just goes to show you that Bobby Roode is a made man in NXT. And I honestly, guys, see him being the one to dethrone champion. And I'll get to the NXT championship match at the end of this review. But yeah, I honestly see Roode knocking off the NXT champion and winning the NXT championship. And when that happens, it'll be glorious. I'm sorry, guys, I can't stop saying it, but Bobby Roode he's a made man in NXT. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does. Yes, I did follow his run in TNA when he was there. I didn't watch a lot of TNA in recent years, but I know how much of a workhorse Bobby Roode is. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else he's going to bring to the table in NXT. But as of Saturday night, he is a made man in NXT. Next, we had the first of the 3 major championship matches, the Revival versus Johnny Gargano and Tomasso Ciampa. This was a great tag team match, guys. Kudos to all 4 men for the efforts they put in this match. It was just, this is tag team wrestling at its best, guys. And I think this match really embodied why the Revival is simply the best tag team on the NXT roster. I mean, the way that they isolate their opponents and they dominate their opponents and they work on certain body parts and whatnot. I love the Revival. They don't get enough credit for what they've done on NXT. I personally am a big fan of the Revival. I love them. You know, they are old school, hard hitting, like the Brain Busters, like their catchphrase says. It's no flips, just fists. I love the Revival and how they did it here. And what they did against Gargano and Ciampa was great. Early on, Gargano and Ciampa took the advantage over the Revival. Gargano hitting a suicide dive onto Dash Wilder. And Tomasso Ciampa hitting a diving knee off the ring apron onto Scott Dawson. That was great. And then from there, the Revival took over. And like I said, they're really great at isolating their opponents, dominating their opponents, working on body parts. Like the Revival is very old school, and that's what I appreciate about their approach. You know, that's why they're the best tag team on the NXT roster. From there, they took over, they being the Revival. They hit a double team front face suplex on Tomasso Ciampa. Then they hit a double team backbreaker elbow on Tomasso Ciampa. So they were really isolating him from Johnny Wrestling. But once Ciampa managed to break free, Gargano got the hot tag. He hit Dawson with the I call it the Kalisto kick because that's what it's called in 2K16. It's that kick where he rolls over and then hits the guy with a short kick to the head. Gargano then hit the spear. He speared Dawson from the middle rope. That spear through the middle rope is a thing of beauty whenever Gargano hits it. Then Ciampa got the tag and he trapped Dawson in that wicked inverted armbar. But Dawson broke it up. The Revival attempted to double suplex Johnny Gargano. Or no, they attempted, I believe they attempted the Shatter Machine, and Gargano speared one of them. No. Okay, I'm kind of jumping ahead. So the Revival did attempt a double team suplex, but Gargano speared Wilder, and Ciampa hit a small package just like Andrade Almas did to Bobby Roode. Then Ciampa started delivering multiple running knees to both members of the Revival. Revival rebounded. They attempted the Shadow Machine, but Gargano intervened with a super kick. Then Gargano and Ciampa hit that double team running knee super kick on Dash Wilder. And when they did it, I noticed Scott Dawson was at the bottom of the screen. He was like on the outside. And as Gargano and Ciampa, as I think it was Gargano who went for the cover, and the referee counted 1, 2, 3. Dawson managed to put Wilder's foot on the rope, and the referee caught it. And I was thinking, like, is it going to end just like this? Are Gargano and Ciampa going to win titles like that? It's like, I see Dawson. He's not going to get in the ring. Dawson put Dawson put Wilder's foot on the bottom rope. Referee saw it, waved the 3 count off. The match continued. After that, Gargano, I believe, Ciampa, I believe, got thrown into the ring post by Scott Dawson. Wilder then chop blocked Gargano, and they did that flying stomp, that flying attack to Gargano's knee. The same move they did that incapacitated Big Cass for a few weeks on NXT last year. And then Dawson got Gargano into a reverse figure 4 leg lock. And at that point, I was like, don't tap out, Johnny, don't tap out. But in the end, due to the pain, Johnny Gargano was forced to tap out, and the Revival retained the NXT Tag Team Championships. Great tag team match, guys. Like I said, kudos to all 4 guys in this match. Gargano and Ciampa really had, in my opinion, a breakout performance. I'm not saying these guys hadn't established themselves already on NXT. You know, they killed it in their Cruiserweight Classic battle a couple weeks back, or I think 3 weeks back now that I think about it. But still, it was a great match. Gargano and Ciampa established themselves as major players on the NXT roster and in the tag team division. 4 stars, just incredible match, guys. And once again, this is a testament to not only Gargano and Ciampa as a tag team, but also why the Revival is the best tag team on the NXT roster. I mean, I really appreciate their old school mentality, their hard-hitting style, how they incapacitate opponents, how they isolate opponents, you know, from their partners. It's just, the Revival are awesome. I do see a rematch between these guys happening. Maybe it'll be a triple threat match in the next TakeOver special, Revival versus Gargano and Ciampa versus TM61. I do eventually see Gargano and Ciampa winning the championships. And when that happens, I could see the Revival getting called up to the main roster. I could see them hopefully getting called up to SmackDown, because I really think SmackDown needs more tag teams, especially if they're going to get their own tag team championships soon. And, you know, ultimately rekindle the feud between American Alpha and the Revival. Let them go on and have a great series of matches. That'd be awesome. But once again, kudos to all 4 guys involved in this match. Great tag team match, guys. 4 stars. Loved it. No complaints. Wanted Gargano and Ciampa to win, but no complaints. That just goes to show you why the Revival is the best tag team on the NXT roster. Next, we had Asuka defending the NXT Women's Championship against Bayley. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was a little disappointed with this match. It was a very good rematch, do not get me wrong. But I feel like with the build that this match had and how compelling this match could have been, I felt like it could have delivered more. And I was surprised at how short it was. I think it only went maybe 13, 14 minutes. But I just was expecting a little more from this match. Like I said, guys, it was a very good Women's Championship rematch. But when you look at everything that came into play in this match, you know, Bayley losing the title the way she did at NXT TakeOver Dallas, and her fighting to get back in the title in title contention, and she hits the roadblock known as Nia Jax, who injures her knee. And, you know, when she eventually gets that shot, you know, she beats people like Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, and then she has the face-to-face confrontation with Asuka, and Asuka says she doesn't have what it takes. And, you know, Bayley starting to develop this mean streak because she realizes she needs to get a little more aggressive if she's going to defeat Asuka. I really feel like this match could have been on the level of Sasha versus Bayley from last year, or even better. So that's why I was a little disappointed with this match. But there was still some really good storytelling in it. It was still a really good women's match. Asuka was laying into Bayley early on. There was one point in the match, like early on, where Bayley goes for a crossbody, and Asuka drills her with this wicked right knee to the face. And I honestly thought maybe she hurt Bayley. Maybe she cracked Bayley in the nose or something, because Bayley was holding on to her nose. I thought maybe Asuka inadvertently broke Bayley's nose with that knee. Asuka was showing a little more of a vicious side, like not necessarily playing the heel, but she was showing more of a vicious side in this match. She hit a modified drive-by on the outside, so instead of using both feet, she only used her right foot. I also remember, I think this was before the drive-by, she and Bayley were fighting on the outside on the apron, and she like bent her foot back and then had it come down on Bayley's neck. Asuka went for the hip attack back inside the ring, but she missed and got caught up in the ropes. Bayley hit a top rope crossbody, went for another crossbody, but then Asuka got out of the way and cracked her with a shining wizard. Bayley then got tied up on the turnbuckle, or Bayley got Asuka tied up in the turnbuckle and hit that nice springboard elbow drop that she did, that she's accustomed to doing. Asuka got Bayley in the ankle lock. Bayley managed to get out of it, but then Asuka started landing these wicked roundhouse kicks to Bayley's chest. And then Bayley just started getting fired up. She was daring Asuka to come and hit her in the face, and Asuka obliged, and she started landing little strikes to the face. Bayley then got Asuka in a dominator. Like, what I remember was Bayley tried to go for like a power bomb, I think, but she botched it, and the announcers did a good job by calling it and saying that, you know, the pressure on Bayley's leg gave out from the ankle lock. But Bayley then eventually hit the dominator. Asuka quickly rebounded and got Bayley into the Asuka lock, but Bayley managed to counter. She managed to get out of it and hit a Bayley to belly, but Asuka kicked out. And I honestly didn't think Asuka was going to get beaten that easily. I thought it was going to take like multiple Bayley to bellies, or maybe even a super Bayley to belly to keep Asuka down. But then Asuka got Bayley back into the Asuka lock, and she further cinched it in. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, she's going to make Bayley tap out again, or she's going to make her pass out, I should say, because Bayley never tapped out. But Bayley managed to counter with a roll through. So try to picture it like this, guys. So Asuka has Bayley on the ground in the Asuka lock. Bayley manages to shift her body backwards toward where Asuka's head is to get a roll up. Asuka kicks out, and then Asuka cracks Bayley in the head with a roundhouse kick, and Bayley is unfazed. It barely phases Bayley, and she wants more. She slaps Asuka in the face, but then Asuka retaliates with another, with one of her trademark spinning back kicks, and then she has Bayley on her knees, and Asuka ultimately cracks Bayley with one more roundhouse kick for the win. She scores the 1-2-3 off that roundhouse kick, and when I saw that happen, I was like, what? I was like, she beat Bayley like that? It was like the first time she choked her out, and the second time she knocked her out with a roundhouse kick. But honestly, I didn't think Bayley was going to get knocked out like that. Like, I thought, okay, she's going to kick out of this. And then when she scored the 3, I was like, what? She beats Bayley like that? And I was like, wow, man. Like, it felt a little anticlimactic. And that's why I said, guys, that I was a little disappointed with this match. It's still a very good match. Do not get me wrong. It's still a very good women's wrestling match. But I honestly felt like they could have given us a little more. You know, I liked seeing Bayley like dare Asuka to hit her and showing a little more of an aggressive side. But I feel like it could have told a really compelling story. This could have been a very compelling rematch if it had gone another, I want to say 7, 8, 9 minutes. Because I guess I was expecting them to try to level of Bayley and Sasha from last year, because Bayley and Sasha, incredible women's wrestling match, one of the greatest women's wrestling matches of all time, one of my personal favorites. And you know, that match just had a lot of magic to it, you know. And the Barclays Center, the crowd inside Barclays was very vocal. They were just as lively as they were last year. But yeah, man, I was just expecting this match to have a little more. You know, I was expecting Bayley to just pull out all the stops, and then, you know, it's a very tight battle, and then in the end, Asuka maybe hits 1 or 2 roundhouse kicks, and those are the deciding factors of the match. But still a very good rematch. At the end, you could see Bayley was disappointed. I don't know if she was crying, like she had this look on her face like she was gonna cry. Asuka attended to her, and Bayley and Asuka hugged it out in the middle of the ring. Asuka left the ring. The crowd in Brooklyn gave Bayley a standing ovation. They chanted, "Thank you, Bayley. Thank you, Bayley." She went to the outside and hugged Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, who were watching the match ringside. She went over to hug, you know, her little super fan Izzy, and she got, you know, if this is indeed Bayley's last appearance on the NXT roster, well, she got one hell of a send-off, just like Sami Zayn got one hell of a send-off against Shinsuke Nakamura at TakeOver Dallas. And I find it funny that the two wrestlers who are considered the heart and soul of NXT got their send-off against the two renowned, hard-hitting Japanese sensations. You know, Zayn against Nakamura and Bayley against Asuka. Could I see Bayley possibly wrestling Ember Moon in her final match at an NXT TakeOver special or on NXT TV taping? Yeah, I could see it happening. But really, I don't think there's much else for Bayley to achieve on the NXT roster. I think it's finally time for her to get called up to the main roster. Now, if she gets called up, I'm recording this hours before Raw goes live. If she gets called up to the main roster, WWE, I iterate this, I stress this. Do not screw her over. She is the most beloved wrestler in your company. And fans love her. Fans adore her. Do not screw Bayley over when she comes to the main roster. You better treat her like $1 million. You better make her the standout face of the women's division. I swear, if you guys screw Bayley over, you will regret it. Bayley could be your new John Cena, because she is the most beloved and adored member of the NXT roster. She's the most beloved and adored wrestler in WWE, period. And if you guys screw her over with bad booking and whatnot, I will be fucking pissed. Your audience will resent you big time, and you will regret it. Do not screw Bayley over. That is all I have to say. I'm going to reiterate it one more time. Do not screw Bayley over. Bayley deserves the best booking possible on the main roster. Make her one of your standout wrestlers. Make her the standout of the women's division on the main roster. Whether she goes to Raw, whether she goes to SmackDown, she'll probably go to Raw, you know, with Nikki Bella going to SmackDown. So make her the face of the women's division on Raw. Book her properly. Push her properly. And your merchandise sales will soar. Well, her merchandise sales will really soar. And you'll have yourselves another bona fide superstar and a bona fide household name. That's all I have to say. And if this was indeed Bayley's last appearance on the main roster, or on the NXT roster prior to going to the main roster, thank you, Bayley, for all the memories on NXT. You are undoubtedly one of the best women's wrestlers out there. You were undoubtedly the heart and soul of your women's division. You were the heart and soul of NXT, just like Sami Zayn was. Thank you for great matches and moments on the NXT roster, and I wish you nothing but the best on the main roster when you eventually go up. Thank you, Bayley. Hashtag thank you, Bayley. All right, guys, we finally get to the main event. Samoa Joe, the self-proclaimed Emperor of Strong Style, defending the NXT Championship against the renowned King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. This was a great main event, guys. This was hard-hitting, as you would expect. Early on, before the match even started, Nakamura got a wicked entrance. He got this awesome entrance from a violinist named Lee England Jr. from Los Angeles, who has made a name for himself on YouTube. WWE and NXT brought England Jr. out to take over Brooklyn, and he got to perform Nakamura's theme on violin. So his rendition plus Nakamura's theme plus the crowd singing Nakamura's theme gave Nakamura one of the best entrances of the year, undoubtedly, along with Bobby Roode's glorious entrance. I mean, that was awesome. Nakamura's entrance was awesome. And then the match itself with him and Joe, like I said, was great. It took a methodical pace in the beginning, but it was very hard-hitting, guys, like I expected. Nakamura went for a knee drop on the outside, and he missed, and he injured his left knee. And then Joe followed that up with a suicide dive. And then he got Nakamura back into the ring and locked in a modified Dragon Sleeper. Joe was surprisingly the dominant force in this match. I mean, he was kicking the crap out of Nakamura throughout this match. He powerbombed Nakamura. He then transitioned into a Boston Crab. And then he transitioned into a crossface. So that was crazy. He did 3 moves in one. A powerbomb into the Boston Crab, into the crossface. And like I said, guys, I was surprised to see Nakamura just get the crap kicked out of him in this match. Like, he was getting dominated, you know, and I thought they were going to go back and forth, but nah, Nakamura was just getting manhandled by Joe. And Joe wanted to hurt this guy. Like, storyline-wise, Joe wanted to hurt this guy. For all the stuff, for the disrespect he believes, you know, Nakamura gave him in the build-up to this match. And I loved it. I loved seeing this vicious, aggressive side of Joe in the match. Nakamura, after he got out of the crossface, he retaliated with a spinning Enzugiri, and then that reverse spinning heel kick. So the one where he uses like his left leg instead of his right leg. Nakamura then went charging toward Joe in the corner, and Joe caught him in the STO slam. But I think like Nakamura botched it because of the way that he landed. Because he didn't land on his back. He sort of landed like on his side, like if Joe spun him around. Joe then attempted the muscle buster, but Nakamura countered, and he hit a one-legged drop kick, which was like the Lex Man described it as Liu Kang's flying kick from Mortal Kombat. And the more I think about it, yeah, that's what it looked like. It was still cool. Nakamura then got Joe in an armbar, but Joe managed to counter that into the Texas Cloverleaf. Joe then cracked Nakamura with this wicked left knee. Like, Nakamura was coming at Joe, and bang! Joe cracked him across the jaw with this left knee. I thought knocked Nakamura out. Like, it was brutal, guys. Joe then got Nakamura in the coquina clutch, but Nakamura managed to get his feet on the ropes to break up the hold. Nakamura rebounded with a German suplex, and then was starting to set up Joe for the Kinshasa. But then Joe countered with a wicked power slam. Like, he caught him right. Like, he hit it immediately. You know, like, Joe went at him, or Nakamura went toward him, and bang, out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but like just like that with quick reflexes, Nakamura got power slammed. Joe then hit an Enzugiri and the muscle buster on Nakamura, but Shinsuke kicked out. Nakamura then got Joe into position for the Kinshasa and hit it. And when he hit it, Joe was holding on to his mouth. And it looked like Nakamura injured Joe. And I actually read on WWE.com that Joe suffered a dislocated jaw. They managed to relocate his jaw, but because of the first Kinshasa, Joe suffered a dislocated jaw. And I remember when Joe was on the outside, the ref threw up the X, that dreaded X, which means the wrestler is injured. So yeah, Joe suffered a dislocated jaw. Hope he's doing fine. Hope he gets well soon. They don't know exactly when he's going to come back. They don't know exactly when he'll come back, when he'll be clear to wrestle, but hopefully it won't be long, because he said he's starting to feel a little better. Hopefully he gets well soon. But getting back to the end of the match, so Nakamura then hit a Kinshasa to the back of Samoa Joe's head, and with Joe in position, Nakamura hits a second Kinshasa to score the 1, 2, 3, and Shinsuke Nakamura is not only the King of Strong Style, but he is your new NXT champion, the King of NXT. Nakamura dethrones the Samoan submission machine. Couldn't have happened at a better time for Nakamura. Like I said in my predictions, he undoubtedly was so over for the past 4 months. He is just a rock star in NXT. He's quickly become the new face of NXT, and by winning the NXT championship, not Samoa Joe, well, by knocking off Samoa Joe, I couldn't say, Shinsuke Nakamura is your new NXT champion, and he is now the new face of NXT. He said to be the champion, he has to become an icon. To be an icon, he has to beat the icon. And the icon was Finn Balor. To become the champion, he had to beat Samoa Joe. He did it. Joe is now out of the picture, and Nakamura is the new NXT champion. Nakamura is the new King of NXT, still the King of Strong Style, and he is now the face of NXT. Congratulations to Shinsuke Nakamura. Well-deserved. Samoa Joe was a great champion for the 2-3 months he held that belt, but you had to believe, guys, that Brooklyn was the perfect place for Joe to drop the title to Nakamura, because like I said, guys, Nakamura is a freaking rock star. He's the new face of NXT, and that championship win ultimately solidified his new status. So overall, guys, I am going to give Joe versus Nakamura 4 stars. I personally think it was the match of the night. I enjoyed it a little more than the Tag Team Championship match, but I still think the NXT Tag Team Championship match was great. I mean, I gave both matches 4 stars. I personally enjoyed Joe and Nakamura a little more. I really like the hard-hitting style of that match. But overall, guys, very good, very entertaining show from start to finish. I'm giving NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, or Back to Brooklyn like I call it, 8.25 out of 10. If you were to ask me which NXT TakeOver Brooklyn special I thought was better, I honestly, guys, think last year's special was better. And you're probably looking at my ratings and being like, oh, Rob, well, there's a 0.25 difference in your overall show rating between Brooklyn and between Brooklyn last year and Brooklyn this year. But honestly, guys, I feel like last year's special just had that magic that I don't think you can replicate. You know, look at the card. You had Joe and Corbin in a good, hard-hitting big man match. The debut of Apollo Crews. You had Jushin Thunder Liger's debut in WWE. You had, of course, the Bayley and Sasha Women's Classic for the Women's Championship. Balor and Owens in the ladder match. And this card, I mean, there was no filler on this card either. There were no filler matches at all on this card, guys. I mean, this card from top to bottom was another very good and strong card. I just feel, this is just personally me, I feel like last year's Brooklyn event was just the better show because of that magic, you know? I mean, yes, this TakeOver Brooklyn 2 has a 0.25 rating higher than NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, but I feel like the inaugural Brooklyn special was just the better special because, like I said, of the magic and the atmosphere and the matches, and I feel like I enjoyed, well, I enjoyed them equally. I'll put it to you that way. I enjoyed them equally, but I just feel like last year's Brooklyn special was slightly better than this year's Brooklyn special because I don't know if you'll ever replicate the magic of last year. You know what I'm saying, guys? But with that said, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 / Back to Brooklyn. Very good show. Very entertaining show. Once again, NXT delivers, you know. I can't honestly think of one NXT TakeOver special that disappointed or that was just bad. I know some people had mixed reactions about NXT TakeOver London. And I thought London was a great show. I think that's an underrated show. I think that's a hidden gem in NXT TakeOver history. But getting back to TakeOver Brooklyn 2, just a very good show, guys, from start to finish. Definitely worth checking out. Once again, NXT delivers. I wish Triple H would have done the same kind of intro he did last year at the start of this year's show, but no complaints there. Just lots of really cool, lots of great stuff from start to finish. Very good show. And like I said, I'm giving it 8.25 out of 10. So that'll do it, guys, for my NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 / Back to Brooklyn review. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the show. What was your match of the night? Was it the Revival versus Gargano and Ciampa, or was it Joe versus Nakamura? What do you think? What do you think of Joe's dislocation, his dislocation to his jaw? When do you think he'll be back? And how excited were you guys to see Hideo Itami hit the GTS on Austin Aries? Because that was just an awesome moment. I didn't think it was going to do it. He did it. I marked out. That was awesome. Another great effort from NXT. Another very good special. Another entertaining special. And, yeah, looking forward to seeing what they have to offer in October or November. So I'm going to wrap it up, guys, with this review. This is Robin Kenobi signing off. As always, like, comment, subscribe, go back to my channel, check out some other videos, and please subscribe as well. And keep your eyes open for my SummerSlam 2016 review. I am going to be doing that very shortly. I want to say at the top of the hour, I'll be doing my NXT TakeOver, or this is my NXT TakeOver Back to Brooklyn review. Excuse me. I'll be doing my SummerSlam 2016 review. So thanks, guys, for watching and listening. I apologize that this is a little over the 30-minute mark, but thanks as always for watching and listening. It's Robin Kenobi signing off, and I'll see you guys in a little while for my SummerSlam review. Enjoy your day.